We are live 364 days a year. What are we doing here?
If Dom turns at SummerSlam, I'm shaving my moustache off. I've told you, if that happens, it's going. My lip is cold because of a stupid bet that I made with YouTube.
Oh, good.
Wrestle's better than Daniel Bryan. Bryan Daniels. Better than Okada.
How do you not get 50 after Monday Night Raw?
Good evening from Swansea, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are watching Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. And it's a Friday, and an absolutely stacked Friday news day at that. We have the absolute blockbuster news story that came out this morning that AJ Styles is officially going to be returning to TNA Wrestling. We're going to be getting into all of that in just a second. But on top of that, AEW last night breaking the news that they are returning to Wembley in 2026. Plus, CM Punk dropped the bombshell earlier this week that he did agree in principle to sign with WWE once again in 2019, but Vince McMahon ghosted him. Plus, of course, we have to preview this really busy weekend in professional wrestling. It's going to be a fun one, and for a fun show, I need a fun panel. And let's kick things off with Shad. How are you today, Shad?
What's going on, Ben? It is your boy Shad Talks Graps, and I am glad to be back on the daily broadcast. I was there yesterday. I'm back today. We got, like you mentioned, a full slate of wrestling news. I'm excited, man. I'm very excited for this weekend, and yeah, man, let's get into it.
Absolutely. We got numero one Superfly in the comments and Fernando as well. Happy Friday to you both. But also joining us today, we have a man who has been calling for months and months and months that AJ Styles would be returning to TNA, and that is Anthony Ricciardi. How are you, Ant?
I'm doing all right. It's always fun to be right on these things. I enjoyed that AJ is coming back. We'll obviously get into that. The Phillies got money off of me already. The All-Star game that's a year out. I'm probably the first person on a podcast wearing this hat. So let's get into this fun show.
Absolutely, because to your point, we do have a lot to talk about.
Also, if you notice, if Anthony is sweating, it's because he was taking a couple victory laps before the show.
Oh my gosh. Right, anyway, let's get into the show, because earlier today the news was broken that WWE and TNA had come to an agreement with AJ Styles for him to make a return to TNA Wrestling this Sunday at Slammiversary. A lot of people are very upset at the fact that it was announced ahead of time, but I'll tell you why they announced it. Very simply, ticket sales. If you're going to be, and not just ticket sales, pay-per-view sales as well, because if you are going to be bringing in AJ Styles, that's probably going to cost you a little bit of money. So they need to make sure they're getting a return for what they are paying for. So that is why clearly they announced him ahead of time. But this will be the first time in 12 years that AJ Styles has returned to TNA. It is something that a lot of people thought would never happen again, but it is happening, Anthony. What do you reckon he's going to be doing there? Is this going to be a one-off? Do you reckon this could potentially be the start of a final run?
I do think he's going to wrestle at least one more time in TNA, and my guess would probably be Bound for Glory in October. That would be their version of WrestleMania. The build's probably going to start at Slammiversary. It's the logical move. The reason they announced it ahead of time, and I know people wanted surprises, I don't necessarily think it's ticket sales, because apparently they've sold out, opened more seats, and sold out some more. So it's a huge crowd to begin with. It's mainly to get pay-per-view buys and subscriptions to TNA Plus. I think it's a smart move. We knew this was probably going to happen. The partnership was bound to go this direction. It's been nothing but positive. We got Joe Hendry on WrestleMania. So TNA needs somebody of WWE's caliber, not an NXT guy, somebody of significance. And the logical choice is AJ Styles. There is nobody that's is more synonymous with TNA than AJ Styles. It's ironic, though, that he's actually been in WWE longer than he was in TNA. I think somebody released that statistic not too long ago. I didn't see last night's Impact, but I did see the video that they released. It was really cool, hyping up AJ Styles' return, and the glove was in the box, and it's really cool because they did a thing where like the glove, like the heartbeat, which is really kind of cool. They did a nice job with it, and I'm looking forward to seeing AJ back in TNA, not Impact, TNA. That's his heart. That's his DNA right there.
Absolutely, you are bang on correct about that. And like you said too, he has been away a long time and in WWE now for longer than he was actually in TNA as well, which is just very simply wild to think about. But I do also agree with you. He has to have a match in TNA, surely. If this is just a promo, that is the biggest letdown ever, the biggest tease ever.
Listen, I wouldn't mind saying, because everyone keeps saying they want AJ to have one last world title run. And I do think he's in his final year. I think he's done at Mania. That's my preliminary guess. And I could be wrong, but I could see him going out on a Mania. I don't know if he'd win another world title in WWE, but TNA would give him one more, and that would count towards his run. But I think that wouldn't be a bad move. I think that would shock the world if he ended up with the title at Slammiversary. Yeah. I think that would shock the world. But I could see him wrestling one more time. I think it's Bound for Glory. He could do more because, Bound for Glory is not until October.
That's true.
There's so much talent there that he can work with that he's never worked with. Santana's there. Trick Williams has kind of been calling him out. So you can kind of, if you wanted to preview, an NXT WWE guy in a TNA ring for a TNA title, is a nice trivia contest in the next 10 years, Ben, when you do the trivia contest with somebody. But yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun at Slammiversary. It's already a stack card to begin with.
It absolutely is. And AJ Styles, to your point, one final title run. I'd love that. But what I'd love more than anything, and what I will not shut up about until it happens, I am going to talk it into existence. I need to see AJ Styles versus Leon Slater. I need that match. I'm not going to shut up until it happens.
I want Mustafa, Slater, honestly. I'd
love that too, but Leon Slater, I do believe, is the next AJ Styles. And I know that's a big thing to put on somebody. People said it about Will. I actually think Leon Slater's more like him than Will was.
I don't know about that.
I'm standing by it.
I like Leon Slater a lot. I think he's got like a untapped potential. And you know what? I'm not mad at that. I can kind of see the parallels.
He's only 21 as well, by the way.
So that's what I was going to say.
He's 2 years younger than me.
Old man like me, right? I remember watching AJ Styles in his 20s on TNA Impact. Like, I remember that. I think I was in middle school or high school, and I was like, yo, what is this? Like, what is this different promotion? Who is AJ Styles? And I think that, honestly, man, like, I don't care if they told it instead of it being a surprise. The fact that we're getting it already brings excitement to wrestling fans. Like, in a week, we got Damian Lillard coming back to the Blazers, and now we got AJ Styles coming back to TNA.
You know what? It's not a shock either, because the reports came out that TNA wanted to put him in the Hall of Fame last year.
Yeah.
They went, oh, WWE wouldn't let him. And then he had to publicly make a statement. He goes, no, they didn't shoot it down. He goes, I don't want to go in the Hall of Fame until I'm retired. I'm still active. So obviously the feelers were out back then. And he appeared at a Slammiversary in a video.
Yeah.
That's true as well. He did, years
yes.
back, yeah.
2021
or 2020, I think it was. But to your point about that Hall of Fame situation, Podcast Grifter mentions it. I don't think, to your point, Anthony, it is going to happen because, last year they approached him. WWE said yes to the move. AJ Styles said no to it. So I reckon it is going to be an in-ring situation. Numero one really wishes it was kept a surprise, but it should be a really fun show. And Donnie has a prediction saying that Trick Williams will win a triple threat and get on a mic and call out anybody, and out comes AJ Styles. I mean, in that situation, you'd have to I don't know how I'd feel about that, to be honest, because AJ is back there.
Well, that's the thing. If you don't bring AJ out beforehand, then it's a
Yeah.
given that he's coming out. You already advertised him. If he came out earlier and did something, but yeah, Trick has called out AJ because the fans were chanting AJ. So like he's been, pushing that. And if anybody's going to fight for TNA, it's the guy that's synonymous with it.
Oh, I love that. I really, really would. But Shad, I want to get your thoughts on this situation.
Yeah, I mean, as I said a second ago, I feel like the level of excitement is well beyond the meter for me. I just think that he's back. He's back home. This is a guy that really built a career and foundation for a company. And, like you mentioned, over a decade been out from there, and he finally returns. There has to be a level of excitement for all of us as wrestling fans, even if you aren't big into TNA now, even if you aren't big into the WWE. If you know, like this is just one of those moments that's going to be very special. And I think AJ Styles is going to have a bit of a spotty run in TNA. He's back on that contract year with the WWE, per reports. That does not come without it being like, okay, if this is my last dance year, damn it, let me tango. Let me dance the night away and let me dance in TNA for a short period of time. AJ's having this feud with Dominic Mysterio in the WWE. That's fine and dandy. I'm excited for the SummerSlam match. But hey, man, he can dabble in both pools. And TNA needs this. TNA deserves this. They have given the WWE, like you mentioned, big moments. They've given them the opportunity of having Joe Hendry on their TV. They've given us Jordan Grace as a contract under TNA on the Royal Rumble. Like they've given us people like Moose to wrestle in NXT. The return got to come back, and anything that they've give, that is worth the fair trade, letting AJ Styles get a little bit of a run there. And however we display it, however we do it, I'm cool with that. What Donnie put in the comments, if that could be a potential storyline, I'm fine with that too. But you just got to let him go in there and become a moment maker again, man. Let him shake it up with a lot of the people over there. AJ versus Mike Santana is the match I want, personally. I think Mike Santana is the guy that, God, the media stuff he's done this past week and just seeing how much he's overcome in adversity, like, the dude deserves that type of match because to me, I feel like Santana is the face of TNA right now. I think he's the guy that, is being the flag holder and carrying it. He wears it. He wears it on his sleeve. He displays it on NXT when he's on NXT, when he's wrestling on House of Glory. Like, he's really outside doing what he needs to do. And I think him versus AJ Styles could be a phenomenal match, but they could also create a phenomenal story. Keyword phenomenal.
We've got a podcast grifters here with a really interesting point, and that is that could AJ Styles become a double champion, being TNA World Champion and Intercontinental Champion at the same time? I can't see it storyline wise, but possibly.
Listen, it would be an interesting scenario because, again, breaking history, he'd be somebody holding a TNA title and a WWE title at the same time, which no one else has ever done.
Well, they will on Sunday.
It's a nice little plug there. Now, granted, the double champion situation.
Yeah.
Technically it's an NXT title, but yeah,
that's
WWE,
true.
but
Not main roster. Not main.
Yeah,
roster.
it's not main roster
Shad.
if you want to make that argument. But it's one of those things. I don't know if anybody really gives TNA enough credit over its history of talent it's created and talent that it's allowed to reinvent themselves. And just as a company as a whole, I don't know if anybody's had more turnover than they have, both in front of the camera and behind the camera, and it's still thriving. And in theory, doing better now than it's ever done with this partnership. So I'm very much looking forward to it, and I'm getting my money's worth of my TNA Plus subscription.
Yeah, that is right. I mean, it's going to be a fun show, that is for sure, and it finally feels like. And by the way, I do want to actually quickly say something. Because on this show a couple of weeks ago, and Clark and Shard absolutely shamed me for this opinion.
Okay.
I said, I think that it is possible in the next year, if TNA have a really good year, it is possible that they could become potentially the clear frontrunner as the third top promotion in the world. And when I said that, there was an outcry.
I
There
think
was not an outcry from me.
There was.
I said as the second company behind WWE.
I said they could be the only one who could potentially contend with AEW long term, and they could get into that conversation and be the only company in that conversation.
I don't see that happening.
I mean, they are pretty much the number 3 as it is now,
Yeah.
are they not?
I believe CMLL worldwide would actually have the edge now, business-wise and viewership-wise. I believe over TNA.
I don't know about that.
I haven't,
because they're doing very well at the minute. Because New Japan, it no
That's
longer
fair.
is.
You know what? That's fair. There is literally an international market that gets viewership that us in the States
that we're
don't
not aware of.
realize.
Yeah.
So you know what? That's fair. I won't. I'm not going to argue on that.
Really is quite funny, though, that only a few years ago, World of Sport, when they brought that back for one season, technically had the second best viewership in the entire world for wrestling promotion, got canned after the first season because it absolutely sucked and was not getting the viewership it needed for the network. But technically speaking, factually, it was almost contending with WWE in the UK. But Fernando says Slammiversary is going to be one of the best shows of the year. I hope so. Benjamin Davis says if he does, doing John Cena versus AJ Styles versus Gunther versus Oba Femi crown jewel title match. I mean, look, that would be nuts, but I can't see that.
I mean, listen, if you get AJ Styles with the TNA World Title and Cena with the WWE, that probably be the most iconic, because when you think about it, when they were going head to head, that's the face of WWE, that's the face of TNA, and to kind of run it back during Cena's farewell tour and probably during AJ's farewell tour, probably, even though it's not officially announced. I want that.
I don't. I said it before. I don't want it because it was so perfect before. And look, I said the same thing about, I knew with Punk and Orton they'd have to revisit it, but it was a similar thing there, and they did live up to expectations. Mm-hmm. But their trilogy of matches, I think, were just so special. I just kind of leave it how it is, to be honest.
Just the visual, though. The visual would be phenomenal.
No,
and not a pun intended, but it would be. Just think
Lots
about
of phenomenal puns.
Yeah.
But Tony says the only thing AEW has over TNA is budget. That's not true. They also have a lot more viewers. They have a lot more viewers.
Better roster too.
Yeah, that's true. Better roster, better production, better
TV
viewership.
slot.
Yeah, better. Yeah, that's also true. And I mean, literally better almost everything. Unfortunately, booking is the one thing I guess you could argue.
Probably not a better tape library though. Got 20 years. 20 plus years of footage.
No, that's nowhere near as good of a tape library. That is true. But up next, we have to talk about this breaking news from All Elite Wrestling yesterday, Shard. Because you know me, obviously, I live in the UK. AEW have announced that they are returning to the UK. They are returning to Wembley Stadium, London, 2026. All in. It's coming home. I hope that's the slogan they use. If they don't massively miss the opportunity. I don't know if you guys know, but that's like our chant here. It's coming home, and we never win anything, even though we chant that. But it is coming home, at least in AEW's case, and I am so excited. I'm glad it left the UK this year. One, it created more demand for it next year, but secondly, they had a fantastic show in Texas. They proved that they can sell a stadium in Texas. Not out, but 25,000 tickets is very impressive. But next year, Wembley Stadium, they are looking at 50, 60, dare I say 70,000 fans. And honestly, with the right booking, they could do it. Shard, what's your thoughts on this?
I'm a little sad because, Tony Khan, the first Dynamite you ever had was in Washington, D.C. We got ourselves a, potentially new stadium being built by that trash Washington Commanders team. But we do have a stadium out there you could have thrown in here. But jokes aside, I am very excited for All In to return in the UK. I think that first All In the UK kind of set the bar of how like amazing of an atmosphere, a show, a crowd, like everything was hitting on all cylinders, and then they come back to it was the same exact thing. There just feels like a special marriage between Wembley and AEW for All In, and the roster, man, and somebody like Will Ospreay, who I think may not be the champ now, but hey, potentially he could be the champ down the road. That's kind of how you set it, and I love moments, and I like Tony Khan's ability of giving people hometown moments. We saw the one that Saraya had, Jamie Hayter returning, like these type of moments, and how diverse of a roster they have. A lot of wrestlers that are from the UK, and how you can create that. But just the fact that like y'all got a hot crowd, man. Y'all got a really hot wrestling crowd, and they show up, and that big number that they did years ago with it. Like people come out there and they are breathing for their sicko mode in AEW, and I like it. I just feel like it has like the closest thing to like a WrestleMania atmosphere that you can get from any other wrestling promotion is like that stadium feel that All In brings. So it's going to be pretty dope. I'm excited to see. I'm curious to see what matches they do build up to it. Will get an opportunity to be the AEW champion, maybe go against Hangman down the road. Will Pac return? That's a guy that's been off the shelf. Maybe he gets a moment over there too. There's a lot to be excited about. And hey, man, I got a passport, so you never know. I mean, if TK want to, get the media pass for me, I might take a jolly good flight and hang out with my buddies in Wrestling Republic out in the UK for All In. Who knows?
Honestly, we might have to do something for it. I am very, very excited. Me and Chaos and Soul are definitely going to be heading back to that as well. Podcast Grifter Podcast says this is not breaking news. Didn't they announce it last year? So essentially what happened was they announced it, then said maybe, then said it's going back to London, but not necessarily Wembley. And they were being a bit cryptic and people were like, what's going on here? But yesterday was when they finally did announce it, that it is happening. They gave the date and all of that. Benjamin Davis as well wants to come to the UK for it. I'm very, very excited indeed.
I mean,
also,
Ben,
with another comment here, yeah.
One quick thing. Technically, All In would not be coming home because it originated in Chicago. Technically, it wasn't under the AEW banner, but All In originated in Chicago.
It's coming home. I mean, I don't know if we actually made football as well, but yet we claim that. But Donnie says TNA has better talent development and better creative over AEW. You could argue that. That's an argument you can make on that one. But wait a second. Roundhead says it's because of how good the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium is. They were probably considering that as well.
Here we go.
If TK, I understand he's got a little bit of a Fulham stench about him, but if he was ever to run that absolute dump, that absolute I can't even say the word on this podcast, I can assure you that not only would I not attend the event, I would become a WWE E-drone for the day. I'd be putting on my WWE gear. I'd be going to the stadium. I'd be promoting WWE. I'd be boycotting the event. I'd be tweeting #cancel All In because it's disgusting to me. Absolutely disgusting.
Hold on, I can't read the comment because there's a curse word in it. But Roundhead did say they have a pretty freaking good stadium. Is that not true? I've never been. Is the stadium like?
I don't know.
So I'm an Eagles. Look, hey,
I don't
I'm
want
an
to
Eagles
catch
fan.
anything, Shad.
I'm an Eagles fan, and I can say the Cowboys Stadium looks pretty badass.
I
Jerry
can't.
World
I
is
can't
really
even look
nice.
at this. You catch something just looking at it. I'm not doing that.
Instigator.
But Jesse Hyde says, don't forget Sadiq Khan, the Met of London, is trying to bring WrestleMania to London. That's looking, unfortunately, less and less likely because it's now almost definitely not going to be able to happen during his term. And realistically, when it comes to politicians, it's all to benefit them. So I think, at least for now, that might be off the table. But we need to now move on to the next topic. we need to talk about CM Punk
Mm.
because he did this interview on My Mum's Basement with Robbie Fox from Barstool the other
I love the
day.
name of that.
I know, it's a hell of a name for a show.
Go ahead.
And he revealed an absolute bombshell that in 2019, Vince McMahon's team were blowing up his phone. And he kept picking it up and saying, no, hangs up. Well, guess what? Vince called him himself and said, hey, let's cut the middleman. I want to meet. I want to talk. CM Punk was like, well, you know what? Because you've called me yourself, let's do it. They meet up. Him, Triple H, Vince McMahon. They have this meeting. It goes really well. And they have a handshake deal agreed. CM Punk agreed to return to the WWE. Something which at this time, nobody really thought was possible outside of WWE backstage. So what happened next? Vince McMahon ghosted him. And that might just be the most 2019 Vince McMahon thing I have heard ever. Anthony, what's your take?
If only Vince would have ghosted the other situations. No, but this is a wild situation because this never came out. It was never leaked anywhere. They met in the Borgata Hotel in Atlantic City. There are people there. Now, I get it. If you see CM Punk in a casino in Atlantic City, you're like, I must be seeing things. Like, he's not wrestling. They probably just somebody who looks like him. Like, it would have to be a very secluded, private place where they snuck everybody in and they met. It's wild. It was never meant for Punk to return there in 2019. I don't think it wouldn't have been the run that it is now because, again, Punk butted heads with Vince. Vince wasn't going to change. Punk was probably more willing to bend, obviously, because he agreed to meet with them. I don't think it would have been the run. It wouldn't have been the run, but it opened the door with Hunter and Punk to at least, sort of make amends. Although I think the bigger issue was always Punk and Vince. It's actually the second time that, it was the first time that Vince ghosted him. The other one was Punk said when he did come back, and he saw Vince in the WWE gym, in the headquarter gym, and Vince saw him or something like that. And they're like, I'll meet up with you after. And then Vince blew him off again. So Vince apparently has a history of ghosting Punk because that's at least twice now that we know of that he's ghosted him since that time. But yeah, I don't think it would have been the run that he's having now.
In fact,
the AEW run helped because that gave them more fuel. That gave the fuel of, he's a locker room cancer. And they were been able to plug that in with the Drew feud. And it works more with Seth. Like it kind of works better. The AEW run in a weird way helped long term. But it is interesting that door was sort of opened in 19. I think he went to AEW because he couldn't go back to WWE. If I'm being perfectly honest, I think he wanted to go back to WWE.
If I'm being completely honest, though, right, I think if he just straight up returned to WWE in 2019, I agree that firstly, the run would not have been as good. But secondly, I am certain it would have ended in tears. Because firstly, him and Vince, they just clash like anything. But secondly, I still think he had some maturing to do. Because the AEW situation, we all know it was blatantly, there was bad management very clearly involved. But also CM Punk, he made mistakes himself, undoubtedly. And I think he learned a lot from those mistakes, which have now helped him on this run. So absolutely. I think everything's worked out the exact way it should have, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it was so impactful with him coming back. Well, that's another storybook thing, too, because it was 10 years. Or just under 10 years of a return. So, it was just that and the controversy and everyone going, well, will they bring him back? Even the way they did it, it was perfect. Yeah. The pay-per-view was over. I'm like, maybe the rumors aren't true. And then the Cryon showed on the screen and then the music hit. And I remember sitting in my living room with my buddy Chris and I went, they did it. The crazy pulled it off. They pulled it off.
He was absolutely wild. Roundhead said, I don't think Punk could have saved that era of wrestling. Fernando says that it is shocking. Numero 1 says it would have been a complete failure. I agree with that as well.
Who's to say he wouldn't have gotten future endeavored at some point?
He
If he
probably
returned at
would
that
have, to
time?
be honest.
Like
He would have.
Vince released Bray Wyatt. Like he didn't care about nothing.
Here's the other thing. I don't know how CM Punk, the voice of the voiceless, I can't picture him with the COVID screens, with the TV screens. It wouldn't have come like it. He needs that energy to really kind of work it.
He wouldn't have been able to do it.
Yeah.
He really wouldn't have. I think that's when I think it would have ended in tears during that point. I reckon there would have been a few clashes along the way, but no way was he going to be there when he came back. Kobe says, do you like dog food, Punk? Of course, referring to that Corbin and Roman Reigns. Oh, my God.
Talk about having that happen to you and going the completely different direction of your career. Like that, if that's the low point and the bloodline's the high point, that's dramatic.
Nuts. Absolutely nuts. We have to preview this weekend in wrestling because it is going to be an absolutely stacked one. Two massively key things. Firstly, tonight's SmackDown, of course, back to 2 hours now, and Cody Rhodes and John Cena will both be there. They're going to have a contract signing for their match at SummerSlam, but that's not all, because Stephanie Vaquer is going to be in action against Alba Fire. Charlotte Flair is going to be in action against Raquel Rodriguez, and Fraxium are going to be taking on Motor City Machine Guns, Rey Fenix and Andrade, and DIY in a fatal four-way tag team match for a shot at the tag team titles. And that match right there is going to be a banger which could steal the weekend. But of course, TNA Slammiversary. We know AJ Styles is showing up. But also on the event, the Nemeths are going to be defending the TNA World Tag Team Championships against the Hardys, the Rascals, and First Class. And I think that's going to be a banger tag team ladder match as well. Moose will be taking on Leon Slater for the X Division Championship. Trick Williams will be defending the TNA Championship against Joe Hendry and Mike Santana. Mustafa Ali will be taking on Cedric Alexander. Of course, a rematch from a few years ago as well. Plus, and I can't find it here it is, Masha Slamovich will be defending the Knockout Championship in a match where JC Jane will be defending the NXT Women's Championship title for title. That is going to be a banger too. Firstly, I'm going to pass it to you, Anthony, and my question for you is, who do you think is going to be walking out of the weekend with the Men's TNA Championship and the Women's Knockout Championship?
Okay, I'm going to throw out a curveball because I could see them doing this. What if they make that TNA World Title match a four-way and AJ's the other guy, and ends it with AJ winning the title at the end of Slammiversary, which no one would see coming?
That would be nuts.
I would love to see that happen. If I'm being realistic, and let's say AJ's not in it, I'd like to see Mike Santana walk away with the title. I would like to see him. If he doesn't win it there, he's winning it Bound for Glory. And as far as the Masha one, I'd give it to Masha, honestly. I think Masha deserves it more than anything else. Masha would be my pick for that. That one I'm confident with.
I hope you're right. I really, really do, because I agree with you on Masha Slamovich. I think if TNA once again lose in an NXT versus TNA match, it's kind of a bad luck, even if on the same show somebody else wins the TNA championship.
Honestly, I think one of the sleeper match on the show is probably Mustafa and Cedric. That's probably the sleeper match. That one has so much potential.
Their 205 Live match back in the day was absolutely unbelievable. They have natural chemistry. But, Shad, I want to know your take. Who do you see walking out with both the championships?
For the men's side, this is going to be a moment, a feel-good moment. We are in the city that doesn't sleep. We are in a rotten apple. And this is going to be Mike Santana's moment. I got Mike Santana coming out victorious. I think he is the face of TNA wrestling. Like, I think he has put a lot of groundwork in, and I think they are ready to reward him and let him be the champion that they deserve. I like Joe Hendry. I think he's an incredible character. He wasn't able to do that. I like Trick. I think he plays the villain role, but obviously he's in NXT. Let Santana get this opportunity. Crown him. Let him become champ. I got him winning. The women's side. Y'all know who's going to win. Y'all know who's going to win. Generational talent. Part of the greatest women's locker room in pro wrestling. The person that has been just hated on since she got the title from Stephanie Vaquer. Some say that she's the most beatable champion. Some say she is undeserving. I think she is a diamond in the rough. I think she has the potential to be a main event women's champion on the main roster, and that is JC Jane. I have JC Jane beating Masha Slamovich and holding both titles. This woman could be like I don't even know, man. Like, she's got like a rock star personality to her. Like, I have bought all my stock into JC Jane, and we're going to the damn moon. I like Masha Slamovich. I think she's incredible. She's intense. She's fierce, but she ain't JC Jane. Come on. She don't got that star power. She don't got that faction. That faction is money. Masha Slamovich will lose, and JC Jane will be JC Two Straps. Book it.
Big call, but a call which I like. Podcast Grifter says the women's probably ends up in a double DQ. That would stun me. I'd hate that. Men's would be either Mike Santana or AJ Styles. It would suck. Absolutely suck. For my prediction.
Don't book that stipulation if you're
don't
do that.
Don't do it unless you're going to do it. It's like when Vince booked Rollins versus Kofi Kingston, title v title. Don't do it if you're just going to have it be a no contest.
That's stuff that they used to do back in the 70s when they would do WWF champion against NWA champion. It would always end up in a count out or a disqualification, something so that it doesn't do that. Since it's a major show and it's the NXT women's title, not the WWE one, I think there's going to be a clear winner. I don't think they'll do it.
There has to.
I don't think they'll do that, but I could see Masha taking it.
I am going to predict Masha Slamovich. I'm going to agree with you, Anthony. Sorry, Shad. Sorry, Kobe, in the comments as well. But for the men's, I'm going to talk and I'm going to say what you said, Anthony. Well, not what you said, what you originally said, because I think it's going to be AJ Styles. And the reason for that is, why on earth now have you actually announced him? I understand the point of, obviously selling pay-per-views and stuff. But if they have announced him, I'm thinking there's probably going to be another surprise in it. And maybe that surprise is Styles winning the title. Plus, then you could do a full story like Podcast Grifter says, where maybe it goes all the way for Bound for Glory. And that is when Mike Santana gets his moment. That is when AJ drops the title.
I think it'll follow the same path from a few years ago, when Christian won the TNA title off of Omega. And the plan was for him to drop it to a TNA guy at Bound for Glory, which was Josh Alexander. I think it's going to probably go the same path. AJ gets the title for a short little run and then drops it to TNA's new chosen one, in this case, Mike Santana. I think that's the logical move.
Also, you didn't mention the match of the weekend.
What is that?
We got Enzo Amore back on.
I was Invasion, right? He's got an invasion going on.
Fourth rope, baby. Salute the West Side Gun.
But by the way, you said to the moon. By the way, where the hell's Cameron Grimes? He's a former TNA guy. So
he's so talented. And he's still like fairly young. He's still early 30s too.
He's been doing a lot of great work in DPW. Like, I see him a lot. I've seen a couple of his matches out there on YouTube. And they're out in North Carolina. He's from there, but I'm surprised that they haven't gave him a call and signed him. He's Trevor Lee was great in TNA.
Here's the other thing to keep an eye on. Trey Miguel mentioned that he had I don't know, neck injury. He has some type of injury that needs surgery or something like that, and he's fighting through it to get through this ladder match. Not spoiling anything for anybody. He's posted that on social media, but don't expect the Rascals to win that thing. But it's wild to me that, you know, I give him all the credit in the world, a lot of guts to go into a ladder match, knowing that you're going to have a surgery before you even go into it.
Yeah, hernia, Kobe said that it is.
Yeah, I knew he had something.
What about oh damn man, what's his name?
Myron Reed.
Myron Reed, yeah.
Myron Reed, who had his own dangerous situation a few months ago with Wrestling Revolver, but no, he's subbed in. But they're announcing Trey in the match. I don't think it would be safer for Myron to be in it than Trey.
It's the Rascals, the Hardys, top flight, first flight.
First class.
Wow. I am so sorry. Top flight is the team in AEW. That's AJ Francis and Casey Navarro. And then who else is on it?
We've got the Nemeths, the current tag
the
team
brothers,
champions, and the Hardys.
Nick and
that's a ladder match. I don't know, man. I think that match is going to be less than. I agree with Anthony. Match of the night is going to be Cedric and Ali, without a doubt.
Well, on the Wrestling Republic YouTube channel, it is out now on the latest episode, a huge pop with Donnie, who is in the comments here as well. Nick Nemeth talks about this ladder match, and he is scared. He said that he doesn't like heights. He's always never liked heights, and WWE continuously put him in these matches. But when he's climbing that ladder, it's adrenaline. I know. It's adrenaline that fills him. But he did say he wants to do something, and he's not somebody who loves big spots, but he is somebody who wants to do something that will steal the show in that ladder match.
I don't know how the Hardys are still in ladder matches. Like, I mean,
that's wild, yeah.
You know what I mean? Just thinking about that, because they keep putting them in ladder matches and they're performing in them, but it's like kind of one of those things where it's like, I don't know if this is the safest move to do. But regardless, I definitely think Slammiversary legitimately is probably one of the most must-see shows of the year, because you really don't know what's going to happen.
Big statement as well, but honestly, I'm certainly hyped for it. Make sure, guys, you check out Huge Pop's interview with Nick Nemeth on the Wrestling Republic YouTube channel. It is out now, but that does bring us to the end of the show. Thank you to Anthony. Thank you to Shad for joining me here today. We will be back same time, same place tomorrow to talk a little bit of SmackDown with Clark and you and Des. Make sure to check it out. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Peace.